It's awesome to be here with New Jersey HOSA, to be surrounded by so many people that are passionate about helping and healing others. Because at the core, that's what we do. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're about. You know, the only difference is you guys are way smarter than we are, right? And you guys are much more driven than most of your peers. But the difference is, and the key is, how you use that intellect and ambition. Because the choices you make will not only shape the course of your life, but it'll shape the courses of all the lives that you guys are going to touch along the way. And that piece that I spoke just a minute ago was actually inspired by somebody that touched the course of my life. A guy from out here on the East Coast. His name was Aaron Mello. That's Aaron and his son Aiden. Aaron's a single father. Aiden's 6 now. And, you know, about a year and a half ago, as Push was talking about, I worked at GoPro, the fastest growing camera company in the world, a company that's blowing up virally. We took a company from $250 million to $2.5 billion valuation. I was on this track to be making a lot of money. I lived in a nice place. I had a great lifestyle. But something was missing. You know, there was something missing. And I started to feel heavy. You know, I don't know if any of you guys have ever felt that before, like going somewhere and just this heaviness on your back. Every time you go to that place that you don't want to go, you're like, man, this is not what I want to be doing. And my passion is writing. And that's where Be Somebody started. So I just started to write about it, blog post after blog post, about protecting my dream and the fence. And I wrote this post called Price of a Dream, which at the end it said, keep your cash, I want change. Forget the money, I want meaning. And it was one of the most personal posts I wrote. I wrote it one night. The next night I got a message from Aaron Mello. Never met Aaron before. And I used to get these messages from people around the world as I was writing and talking about Be Somebody. So I always knew there was something there, but I didn't know what the heck it was. But Aaron sent me a note and he said, hey, Kash, I know we've never met. He sent me a message on Facebook, actually. He's like, I know we never met, but I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you because I read your post last night, Price of a Dream. And this morning I did something I thought I'd never do. Because I've been selling used cars here in Boston for the last 14 years, and I've hated every single second of it. I've hated every single second of it. Only reason I do it sometimes is because I can take care of my son, Aiden. And he said, but I read your post last night, and this morning I walked into my boss's office at this car dealership, and I resigned. I told him I quit. And he said, I told him I'm going to go do what I love and follow my passion of photography. And I was like, man, that's so awesome. He was messaging me. I was like, dude, that's so cool. You're the man, Aaron. You're going to make it happen. Go for it, baby. You're going to do it. I got your back. We got your back. We're having this amazing conversation back and forth on Facebook. And we talked for like an hour. And then the conversation ended. I still remember it. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. It was about 1 in the morning at my condo in San Francisco. I lived on the 16th floor with this amazing view of the Bay Bridge. And I was like, man, I'm full of shit. I'm full of it. Because when that conversation, I realized, man, I've been telling people for 4 years, be somebody. Go all in on what you love, follow your passion. I haven't even done it yet. And that night, I scribbled on a piece of paper this post that I spoke to you guys called BS. Became our most shared post, and it became the launch video of Be Somebody. A week after I shared that post the next day, a week after that, I walked into our CEO's office at GoPro and resigned. And a week after that, I moved to Austin back to be home with my family to start to build this platform for passion and go all in on my passion of hopefully helping other people unleash theirs. But see, what I realized from Aaron Mello is that this here is a badge. I've wore this shirt every day for the past year, you know. A couple different versions I switch in and out of, but this has been the shirt that's been on my chest because this is a badge of passion. And not just my passion, every single one of your passions and the passions of people, hundreds of thousands of people all over the planet. Because I always knew that there was power in words, but there's something about this term of be somebody that just connects with people all over the world. It's that punch that we all need to knock us out of our safe and sound and cozy and comfortable boxes and into a life centered on our passion. And the reason it's growing so fast, we hit 4 million people in 180 countries right now. The reason it's going so fast is because it's about you. And it's about what you love. It's about your personal passion. And let me tell you guys, I've been around the world talking to people. What I've realized now is that there's nothing bigger than your personal passion. There's nothing bigger. But the problem with passion, and some of you guys see this, and some of you guys know people around you that have this problem with passion, is that passion is the most overused, underserved word in human history. Because every single one of you and every single one of us knows the power of following your passion. But 99.9% of us don't go all in on it. We hold back. And what I've realized from talking to tens of thousands of people around the world about this is that the walls that prevent us from going all in are self-built. They're self-created. Yeah, sometimes the systems and structures around us don't help us, and we want to change that too, and with your help, we are going to change it. But the first step is within you. It's inside you. So I wanted to share with you guys what I'm learning after just 1 year of going all in on my passion to build this platform. And the first thing is the cliff. The cliff. And what the cliff is what you're doing right now. And way down there is what you really want to do. What you dream about doing, what you can't sleep at night because you can't stop thinking about doing it. You wake up early because you want to go do it way down there at the bottom of that cliff. And what I realized is that most of us spend our whole life pacing on the edge of this cliff, waiting and wishing and wondering and talking and thinking and acting like we're too cool or whatever it is. But the easiest thing to do in life is walk to the edge of the cliff. The hardest thing to do is throw yourself off. And sometimes life tries to throw you off. You feel the hands of life in the lower part of your back shoving you, but the only thing that will get you off that cliff is you. And the thing is, once you're off that cliff, then you're all in because you're falling and you're building it as you go. But you got to push yourself off. The next thing is the cave. So I learned about the cave having dinner outside the Four Seasons Hotel in Mexico City, about 10 miles from where that picture was that Pew shared. Four Seasons in Mexico City is an amazing hotel. I was back in my Procter & Gamble days when I was living another lifestyle. I was having dinner with one of my colleagues talking about this breakup that Pew told you guys about. I just turned 30, just went through another breakup. I was like, man, I know my life is about something bigger than this. I'm selling detergent and razor blades. Tide and Gillette are cool, but there's something bigger. And, you know, I was talking to my friend, and his name is Dennis Osipov-Brodsky. He actually lives here in Princeton. It's a full circle moment we'll talk about here in a second. But Dennis was like, brother, you need to love yourself. And I had that typical guy reaction. I was like, what, man? Shut up. What are you talking about? But when he said that, I started feeling something inside me that I hadn't felt before. And he said, no, bro, you need to love yourself. And then at that moment, I felt these emotions kind of overwhelm me and almost started having these tears well up in my eyes. And I was like, man, I realized at that moment that he was right. And he's like, man, you got to dig down inside and find out what's in that cave of yours. And what I realized is that all of us have this deep, dark cave inside of us. And the longer that we wait to go down there, the deeper and darker it becomes. And the way you get down there is you take these dingy, damp staircase way down into the inner parts of you. You have to open these big wooden doors to even get to the front entrance of that cave. And inside that cave is everything that you're scared of and everything that you're insecure about, everything you don't like about yourself, all the regrets from your past, everything that's weighing you down, all that heavy stuff that makes you not feel like moving forward, but keep looking back. All of that is in that cave. The two things that hold us back in life more than anything else are our own fears and our own insecurities. And for some reason, I had a lot of them. I had a good lifestyle. People thought I was like confident, almost cocky, but there was something wrong until I turned that light on that cave. And just like the cliff, the cave, the only person that can turn that light on is you. And once you flip the switch, you accept the things about yourself and your past that you can't change. You change the things that you can. And then you look your fears right in the face and realize that they're not bigger than you. Then you're off the cliff. Then you're focused, bigger than your fears. And then it's time for the path. And I learned about the path the week after I resigned. I got invited to speak at something called Summit. You guys should look it up. It's an amazing, amazing organization. And it's this village on this mountain in Utah where they invite entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs with these crazy ideas about changing the world. And I was blessed for the opportunity to go there. And I got a chance to speak to a group of people like I'm talking to you guys. And that was at the beginning, though, and I was just all up there pumped up talking about I'm going to build this platform called Besomebody that changes the world. It's going to be the most inspirational platform in the world, and it's going to change. And I was all pumped up about it, and everybody was like, yeah, it sounds amazing. And then afterwards, I was sitting right outside the bar, and an older gentleman, probably the oldest gentleman in the room, came up to me and spoke with me. He was like, hey, Kash, I just want to shake your hand, man. I'm an analyst. The fact that you left GoPro, man, that took a lot of balls. You would have made a lot of money there. And I was like, yeah, man, you know, I'm going for it. I felt kind of cool. And he was like, but let me just tell you. It's like, let me just tell you, sacrifice is just the first step. After the sacrifice comes the struggle. And after the struggle comes the suffering. Then after you suffer, then you'll succeed. And every time I tell that, I still get goosebumps because, man, that put that path right in front of me. I was like, man, I see it now. And I was kind of excited. I was like, man, it's laid out for me. It's going to get a lot harder from here, even though I just gave up everything. Money, lifestyle, title, everything. now it's going to get even harder, but I thought I was ready. And to be honest, guys, I kind of romanticized the suffering back then. I was like, man, I can't wait till I get to the suffering, because then I'm going to be one step away. You know, I was like, bring on that suffering. But I'll tell you guys, like, what I'm learning, that the suffering is real. The suffering ain't no joke. The suffering hurts and sucks. You know, we're in the heart of the suffering right now with Besomebody. We self-funded, speaking at schools from Arizona to Africa. You know, we've been talking to people, doing things for free out of our own money, our own savings, just because we want to connect with people. If we can have one of you guys be inspired to go all on your passion, that's why we're on this path. So the suffering is real, but I realize most people stop at the suffering. Right? Most people stop at the suffering because it sucks to suffer. But I believe if you keep going, you will succeed. And that's what we believe in. We're not stopping what we're doing. The irony, guys, is that you need to be selfish. You need to do you. You need to do you, because you need to be selfish before you can be selfless. Right? Because what I've been learning on this journey is that the best way to inspire others is to go do what you love. Go do what you love. Because then they'll start to believe that maybe they can go do it too. You know, when I left GoPro and I shared it with my friends, family, and Facebook, I got hundreds of messages from people all over the world just saying, "You're so awesome, thank you, congrats, that's so inspiring, you're going to do it." And, you know, I was just overwhelmed with all these messages, and I was thinking to myself, man, I haven't even done anything yet, you know? I hadn't even done anything. And everybody was sending these notes. All I did was jump off that cliff. You know? But then I realized that's what Aaron Mello did. He just told me, he messaged me and said, I'm off the cliff to go after it. He hadn't done it yet, but I was like, man, that's enough for me. I'm off it too. And this year, we've seen so many people go off that cliff to go all in. It's been amazing, guys. That's the fuel. You know, I was telling our team the other day, money is a symptom. It's not a purpose, man. The purpose is seeing people go all in. That's inspiring. And that's the irony. The people. Now, we could talk for 2 days about the people. Learning so much about people. You know, I will say this, everything we're doing is centered on passion and focused on people, right? And when I got that note from Aaron Mello and I was getting these messages from all around the world, I was like, man, we're going to do this with Besomebody, and we're going to go out and we're going to build a freaking army, right? We're going to build an army of these passion soldiers, troops all over the world that are all in building this with us. It's going to take over the world. We're going to change it. You know, and it's happening. It's happening on that outer layer, right? The people on the outside, like we talked about, we hit 4 million people in 180 countries right now. So it's happening on the outside. But what I realized, that on the inside, at that core, when you go all in on your passion, what you start to find is that there's not a lot of people there that are willing to be there with you through all the ups and the downs, through the best and the worst, through when you're inspiring or when you're annoying. There's not that many people. When I was an executive at Procter & Gamble, a $90 billion company, the largest consumer products company in the world, anyone I gave a phone call to would call me back or pick up the phone or call me 10 times so they could reach me. When I was leading marketing for GoPro, the fastest growing camera company in the world, people were blowing me up on my phone, on my text, on Twitter so much I couldn't handle it. The day I decided to go all in on Be Somebody, and I started calling the same people, those same people, they stopped picking up the phone. You know, those same people didn't pick up the phone. And what I realized, you know, is that you don't need a lot of people. It ain't about the army. When you're all in on your passion, you do not need a lot of people. You just need the right people. My family picked up the phone. My best friend picked up the phone. Some new friends that believed in what we were building picked up the phone. And you learn so much about people, guys, because most people, when you tell them your crazy dream, they'll tell you it's not possible. I woke up at 8 a.m. this morning, went straight to the gym to get a workout in before. I was working out, running on the treadmill. There was a lady next to me talking to her husband about her daughter applying to Princeton, and she was like, hey, you better tell her that's the top 1% that get into Princeton. I'm telling you, this happened this morning. She's like, tell her that's not realistic. And I could tell that the dad was like, she's going to do it. I think she can do it. She's working really hard. She's like, no, tell her she's not going to get in. It's too high of a goal. And I was like, I almost jumped off the treadmill. I was like, man, people project their own fears and insecurities onto you because they're scared of, and they don't believe in themselves, so they tell you not to believe in yourself. The people that you surround yourself with, there is nothing more contagious than the energy of those around you. Surround yourself with positive people that are focused on what you're focused on, that will help build you. One of my mentors at Procter & Gamble told me there's only two types of people in the world, those that bring you up and those that bring you down. Go all in on the ones that take you up. If that's the only thing you guys take away today, surround yourselves with the right people. And then the most important part of that is never forget the people that believed in you when all you had was that dream. Because those are the people that you're building it for. That's what you're doing this for. The universe. Now, the cool thing about the universe is that the universe is on your side, right? And the universe is always dropping these breadcrumbs all over, all along your path, that path that we talked about. The universe is littering it with breadcrumbs for you to pick up and start following to where you're destined to go. But the problem is, most of the time, we're so consumed with things that don't matter, the unimportant stuff, that we don't notice the breadcrumbs. And what I've been learning on this journey is the second that you jump off that cliff, you walk that path, you said, I'm all in on my passion, you start seeing the breadcrumbs. You start seeing the breadcrumbs. This is a big breadcrumb on I-45 in Houston, Texas. It's the highway that goes straight. I'm from Houston, so this is the highway that goes straight into downtown. Probably the most packed highway in the city. So a few years ago, somebody jumped up there and took some rollers and some paint and painted this Be Someone up there. And I was like, you know, the Be Somebody guy for so long, so everybody started messaging me. Everybody in Houston, within 6 degrees of separation from me, would send me these messages and send me these texts and these photos of this Be Someone bridge and be like, yo, man, check it out. And at first I was like, man, that's cool. Then I was like, this is kind of getting annoying because I've got 100 of these on my phone. And then finally I was like, you know what, let me look into this. You know, because I was at that time where I'm like, Be Somebody, I want to do something. And I went to Twitter and I went to Tumblr and I went to Instagram. I started searching the captions and searching the hashtags and seeing what people were writing about this Be Someone sign in Houston. And I was like, man, people are saying some inspirational things. They're like, wow, the highway is talking to me, or so inspired on my way to work, or hell yeah, be someone, baby. And I was like, man, somebody got up there Somebody got up there late at night, really quickly in 10 minutes, and painted this sign. And now people are rocking by at 70 miles per hour every day, and they're getting this burst of inspiration in that 1 second. And I was like, man, if I ever go all in on Be Somebody, the first crazy thing I want to do is find the best graffiti artists in the world and go tag the world with these beautiful pieces of Be Somebody art all around the world. And I left, like I told you guys, I left about a year ago in March, and then in May, we tagged the world. We did 15 cities, 11 countries, 5 weeks across 4 continents, rooftops in Hong Kong, beaches in Casablanca, villages in Africa. This is in Sharati, Tanzania, the first school in Sharati. Sharati is about an 11-hour drive west of Nairobi. If it was here in New Jersey, it would take us 2 hours to get there, but the dirt roads and all the traffic in Africa, it takes you 11 hours. We only had 48 hours that we could spend in Africa because we sandwiched it in between Barcelona and Manila. But I was like, we got to go do this school in Sharati. It's the first school. I wanted to say, Be Somebody. And we went there, and by the time we got there, we had 24 hours to paint. Then we had to get back on the road. So we painted the whole time. We were painting, and the villagers came and they talked to us, and at first they didn't want to get to know us. Then we started talking to them. We became friends instantly, but then they left to go home, to eat, to sleep, to do whatever. But there was one boy that stayed there the whole time. There was a little wooden chair right probably in the front of where my hand is in this picture, and this boy sat there the whole time watching. And I was like, yo, man, you should go eat. You should go sleep. You've been here the whole time. He's like, no, I want to stay. There was only 2 families in the village that spoke English. He was from one of them. I asked him his name. He told me it was Michael Jackson. That's him right next to me in the picture. And so when we were leaving and we were done with the piece, we were taking pictures, and then we took this little selfie. And I was like, man, Michael, it's great to meet you. And his eyes started watering up. And I could tell he was really sad, so I gave him a hat, my extra hat out of my bag. I was like, yo, keep this hat, man. And I said, Michael, let me ask you something, man. Michael is 8, by the way. He's 8. I was like, Michael, why did you stay here, man? What made you sit here 24 straight hours and just watch? So I'm trying to figure out what are the breadcrumbs, right, that the universe is leaving me. And Michael said something that was so powerful to me, and it may seem common sense to you or to me even now, but then it changed the whole direction of my life, guys. What Michael said to me was, I just love to paint. And then I said, well, why don't you paint, man? You should paint all the time. I was thinking, he's here in Africa. There's not much going on, I'm looking around. I'm like, dude, if you love to paint, go paint. And then what he said was 2 things that shaped the future of my life and Be Somebody. He said, I don't know where, and I don't know how. And what I learned from that 8-year-old boy in Sharati, Tanzania, named Michael Jackson, was that the world isn't organized by passion. The world isn't organized by passion. And that fed the thinking of the technology platform that we're building, that we'll be sharing with you guys a few months down the road. And that all started from a conversation with an 8-year-old boy who was sitting in a wooden chair that wanted to watch us paint, that started from a highway in Houston, Texas on I-45 that some dude crawled up at 2 in the morning just to paint something cool. And that's crazy to me, right? That's crazy. The universe is on your side. You need to notice all these breadcrumbs, guys. Put them together. It'll take you to where you need to go. Now, this is similar, the circle, right? The circle. When you are all in on your passion, you have these full circle moments. And you guys already had some of these, like these full circle moments where you're like, man, I see it full circle to where I was before. Except now I'm in a better place in my mind or in my heart or in my life. You have these amazing full circle moments. When I was at Procter & Gamble, the country that I visited the most, Piyush talked about, I was blessed to see 43 countries. I used to lead marketing for developing markets. So that was South America, Africa, Asia, Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe. And our biggest office at Procter & Gamble was in Manila, in the Philippines. So I went to Manila about 10 times. And I would stay for about a week every time. And at Procter & Gamble, every time we got off the airport, we'd have a driver pick us up, take us to the Peninsula Hotel, nice hotel, right in the heart of Manila. And Ramon was my driver, right? And from the minute he picked me up that first time, we started talking. He was such a nice guy. We had a great conversation. Then I went back to the U.S. and I came back the second time, same driver. We started building this relationship, and then by the third time, I was requesting that Ramon be my driver, and by the fifth time, he wasn't my driver anymore. He was just my friend. And we would talk, and I used to tell him these crazy ideas about Besomebody, And this was 2010, I think, 2010, so 4 years ago. And the last time I was there, I knew I was moving to GoPro. And it was my last time in Manila, and I didn't know when I was going to go back. And I was like, man, Ramon, it's my last time here to see you, dude. I hope one day we get to see each other again. He was taking me to the airport. He was like, wait, before you go, I have to take you to my house. You need to come see my house. And I was like, you need to meet my wife. Her name is Baby. He's like, you need to meet Baby. And I was like, why? He goes, I've been out with you every time you come. We stay out. We're out till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. We're hanging out. I'm taking you places. She doesn't even believe you exist. She thinks I'm cheating on her. She thinks I'm cheating on her. He's like, you got to come meet her. So on the way to the airport, we took a deep detour. We went to his house in Cavite, inside one of the most dangerous barangays. A barangay is like a barrio, or a poor neighborhood, a ghetto, a slum in Manila. And we went to this barangay, and we went to his house, and it was, about the size of a tenth, maybe a fifth of this stage was this little house. But the thing is, the whole family was there. The whole family was there. The aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the niece, the nephews. Baby had cooked some chicken adobo, the famous Filipino meal. We had this amazing dinner. We talked about life. We talked about purpose. We talked about passion. We talked about be somebody. And when I left, I said, hey, guys, if I ever come back here, I don't know when it will be, but if I ever come back to Manila, it's going to be with Be Somebody. And when they took me to the airport, we took this picture right outside Terminal 3. When we tagged the world in May, we went back to Manila. And we painted the outside of Ramon's barangay with Be Somebody. It was the most special part of the journey for me on that first campaign that we did. And it was this beautiful full circle moment. And I knew we'd be back. I knew we'd be back with Be Somebody. There is no way in hell, though, that I thought we'd be back painting a wall, in different colors on the barangay. But that's what happens when you're following your passion. You have these full circle moments that remind you that you're on the right path. You got to notice them. The zone. All right, the zone is important, guys. The zone is important because you know when you go to a conference or you go to a seminar, you're hearing a speaker and you're listening and you're in the audience and you're feeling like that person is speaking right towards you. You're so into it. You're so inspired. You're writing notes down. You're typing on your iPhone. You're texting messages to yourself so that you remember what you're hearing. And you're like, man, I'm so into it. This person is talking to me. I'm feeling it right now. I'm going to go do it. Whatever it is he's talking about, you're going to go do. I had so many of these moments when I was in that zone, listening to people and be like, I'm so inspired. I got goosebumps running down, up and down my arms. I'm going to go after it. And then what happens is you end up leaving the conference or the event. The speaker stops talking. You walk out the doors, and then life hits you. You know, life hits you, your responsibilities, your homework, your mom calls, your girlfriend calls, your boyfriend calls, and like you forget what you were feeling at that moment. You know, there's a couple hundred people in here. I don't know how many of you guys are in this zone with me right now, but I know some of you are. And it's not from what I did in my past. You can find that elsewhere. It's what I'm talking to you about right now. Now just think about this zone. Athletes talk about it all the time. Michael Jordan used to live in that zone. You know, the game slows down. Everything you throw up goes in. It doesn't get easier. It just gets clearer. You're so focused. Nothing can stop you in that zone. You are unstoppable in that zone. Now, what if we could live our lives in that zone? Focused on our passion. And what I'm learning this year is that when you're all in, you're in that zone. And it feels good to be in that zone. You don't want to get out of that zone. You make shit happen in that zone. You help other people in that zone. And if people try to get you out of that zone, you react like a mad, angry lion. To stay in that zone. And that's how I'm a positive guy, but I'll tell you, you know, what we're doing is good, but what I've learned is when you're in that zone, you're both infectious and unbearable at the same time, you know? Because if you try to take me out of this zone, it's not going to be pretty for you. Because I'm in it. And some of you guys are in it right now. And I want you to stay in it. Because people are going to try to take you out. Problems are going to try to pull you out. And only you can keep yourself in it. The suffering. Now, we already talked about the path. And we already talked about the suffering. All right, we already talked about the suffering, but I want to talk to you about it again. Because the suffering is real, guys. I told you, I romanticized it a year ago. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought I was going to be battle tested. But the suffering is real. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've spoken at about 100 schools across the world. This is a conference. I know you guys come from different schools, but I'm not sure how many of you guys can handle the suffering. Right? Because most people stop at the suffering. You make up an excuse for why you stop. But it's just because you can't handle it. Because it hurts. And it sucks like we talked about. But I want to see who can push through. You know, when I left GoPro, I lived at the Infinity Building on Main and Folsom, a few steps from the Embarcadero in San Francisco, California. The beautiful view of the Bay Bridge. Beautiful girlfriend, beautiful lifestyle, making a lot of money. Had a lot of suits. Had a lot of things. And life was pretty good on the material side. Right? 2,000 square foot, 2,500 square feet condo, 17th, 16th floor. And now we live in Austin, in North Austin, because it's cheaper when you cross this one county line. In a 600 square foot place where there's anywhere between 3 or 5 guys sleeping on the floor, because depends how big the project is. This one wasn't as long, so we're in New Jersey with 3 guys. Then we're going to go back home and sleep on the floor. No furniture, just a big-ass whiteboard where we put our ideas on, and we put the next hit list of what schools we're going to talk to and where we're going to go. Everything in storage or sold. Nothing like that. All right? And I'm not saying this to let y'all know that that's some amazing thing. I'm saying that's hard, guys. Talk about a 180, right? My last long business trip with Procter & Gamble was a 2-month trip where I led the biggest product launch in P&G history. P&G is a 174-year-old company. We launched it in Dubai. I stayed in a suite at the Address Hotel, which is bigger than this stage, for 2 months with a balcony outside. Straight ahead of me was the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. In between us was the Dubai fountains, the largest dancing fountains in the world. I was serenaded to sleep every night by Bocelli for 2 months. And last year, from October to December, the 2-month-long business trip for Besomebody, we stacked 6 guys in an RV. We drove 15,000 miles across the country, from Austin down to Miami, up to Connecticut, all across to North Dakota, to California, NorCal, down to South California, all the way back down to Texas. Living in this RV, staying at truck stops and campsites every night. Talk about a 180. Talk about a 180. Man, and there's sometimes I'm like, man, this suffering sucks, you know? But when I come here and I talk to people like you, and when we talk after, or when a couple of y'all message me, and you guys tell me you're feeling it, you're in that zone, or you're going to go after it, just like Aaron Mello did, then I realize it's worth it. And then I realize success is the next step. But you've got to push through the suffering, guys. The last thing I want to tell you guys today is the bridge. The bridge. Now, I always think in pictures. I don't know if there's some of you out there that think in pictures. Like whenever I try to think of an idea, the first thing that comes in my head is this visual image of what that idea looks like. And whenever I used to think about what it is to go all in on my passion of where I am now, I'm off the cliff now, I'm at the bottom, now I got to race towards it. And what I realize is that the bridge is when you're on that path and you're so close to your dream, right? You can see your dream across that bridge, just like this little aisleway right here, except the bridge is this wooden bridge, this old wooden rickety bridge that's over this massive canyon below. Just like this bridge that I saw in the Yukon near the border of Alaska and Canada, this rickety bridge. And what I realized is that when you're all in on your passion, with each step that you take on this bridge, you have to burn the bridge behind you. Right? You have to set fire to that bridge behind you. Because there is no turning back, guys. There is no turning back. There is no plan B. If you have a plan B, you are never going to execute plan A. All right? If you have a plan B, you will never execute plan A. You have a safety net. You know how many people told me, hey man, have fun for a year on that Besomebody thing. If not, you can go become a director of marketing somewhere, or a VP of marketing somewhere, or do something. You'll still make some money. Life will be good. You'll have some cool experiences. You can talk about these kids you talk to at high schools. Some of them cared that you came, some of them didn't give a crap. But it doesn't matter. You can talk about it. And you'll be back. And you know what I say to all those people? I'm always like, man, there is no turning back. Because I'm all in. I'm all in. I burned that bridge behind me. There is only one way, and that's straight ahead, towards my dream and towards my passion. And that passion is to enable all of you to explore, discover, and unleash whatever it is that you're passionate about. Thank you, guys.